Gather round, ye fine folk, and let old Uncle Fat Jack tell ye a tale of what happens when a hero strays from the path. Now, every adventurer knows that sometimes life calls ye away. Maybe it's fate, maybe it's duty, or maybe ye just got a bit too deep in your tankard and woke up in the wrong kingdom. But in the case of our dear dwarven paladin Thorin, his absence from the Wardens was no ordinary detour. No, he found himself lost in the twisted dreamscape of the Hags, trapped in a world where nothing made sense, and everything was just a wee bit mad. Now, while the rest of the Wardens fought battles in the waking world, Thorin was having the fight of his life against illusions, mazes, talking cats, and caterpillars? So sit back, grab yourself a pint, and let's take a trip through Thorin's grand solo adventure, a tale of confusion, frustration, and the absolute worst magical mushroom trip a dwarf has ever had. Lend me thine ears, me stout-hearted friends, for Uncle Fat Jack has another tale to spin, a tale not of glory and steel, but of bewilderment, illusions, and a very confused dwarf on the worst magical mushroom trip of his life. Now, if ye recall, the Wardens had been knee-deep in hag-born trickery, lost in the winding madness of Wonderland. But while the others braved the trials and escaped into legend, one among them wandered a very different path. Thorin, the stalwart dwarven paladin, found himself left behind, trapped in a maze of nonsense and nightmares. Aye, my friends, while the world turned, battles raged, and Dryre burned. Thorin wandered the land in a haze of enchanted mischief, hounded by illusions, deceived by trickery, and haunted by one particularly grinning menace. Let us begin. It's the first sign that something was amiss. Children. Not just one, not two, but three of every child. Everywhere he looked, triplets. Was little lad there? Aye. Was Gregor the werebore lad there? Aye. Was Rachel? Aye. Three of them. Each. All right, ye tiny nightmares. Thorin grumbled, rubbing his temples. Which one of ye is the real child? The children, all of them, stared at him blankly. I am, said the first little lad. No, I am, said the second. You're both wrong. I am, said the third. Now, Thorin was a dwarf of solid faith and unshakable resolve, but no man, beast, or deity could prepare him for the absolute mind-warping frustration of arguing with a trio of identical, equally convincing children. Every time he turned to grab one by the collar, the maze shifted, and suddenly there were more of them. For what felt like hours, nay, days, Thorin stomped through an ever-changing labyrinth, turning corners that led him backwards, climbing staircases that looped upon themselves, chasing children who vanished into thin air. Was he lost? Aye. Was he growing more frustrated by the second? Absolutely. Did he try to simply smash his way through? Of course he did. But every time he raised his hammer, the walls slithered, laughed and wiggled away, as if the maze itself was having grand old time at his expense. And then the cat appeared. You seem distressed, good dwarf, came a voice, a familiar voice, one that oozed charm and irritation in equal measure. Thorin spun, hammer raised, only to find himself face to face with a familiar feline. The Cheshire Cat, that infernal beast, that grinning imp of mischief, now sat, perched atop a floating upside-down tree, his wide, toothy grin stretching from ear to ear. His great purple form flickered in and out of existence, as if reality itself struggled to decide whether or not he was really there. Ye cursed demon, Thorin bellowed. I knew I should have smited ye when I had the chance. The cat purred, his golden eyes gleaming. Smite me. Oh dear, that wouldn't do at all. After all, am I truly here? The cat blinked out of existence and reappeared behind him, tail curling lazily. Or are you still dreaming? Thorin gritted his teeth. This is no dream. This is a nightmare. Well, that depends. Have you woken up yet? From that moment on, Thorin could not rid himself of the infernal feline. Everywhere he went, the cat stalked him, appearing in reflections in trees, in the clouds themselves. And worse still, each time Thorin tried to take the straightest path back to Dryre, the cat led him elsewhere. Once, Thorin turned down a quiet glade, only to find himself faced with a legion of caterpillars. Tiny ones at first, little things, munching on leaves. But then he blinked, and suddenly they were massive. Towering, writhing behemoths that loomed over him like ancient trees, their eyes glowing with unnerving intelligence. Well, this is new. The cat mused, lounging lazily on one of the caterpillar's backs. By Moradin's beard. Thorin took a step back, gripping his hammer. "Why are they so big?" The cat tilted his head. "Are they big, or are you small?" Thorin's eye twitched. He turned his hammer on the Cheshire menace, but the cat vanished once more, laughing as he faded into the wind. Is it over, or is it just beginning? For days, weeks even, Thorin trudged across the land, always finding himself one step away from madness. Every road he took, the cat was there, sometimes in the form of a moonlit shadow, sometimes as a voice on the wind, sometimes in his own reflection, grinning back at him. Was he awake? Was this real? Had he ever truly left Wonderland? At long last he saw the smoke on the horizon, the burning ruins of Dryer. He had made it back. The illusion was broken. The dream was over. But as he took those final steps toward the wreckage, a whisper brushed his ear. "Are you sure, good dwarf?" Thorin spun, but there was nothing there. The cat was gone, or was he? A final toast. And that, me friends, is the tale of Thorin the Paladin and the journey that made him question his own sanity. Uncle Fat Jack slams his tankard down, sloshing ale onto the table. Aye, battles are grand, aye, wars are legendary, but tell me, have you ever fought the battle of the mind? Have you ever been outwitted by a grinning cat and a forest of growing caterpillars? Because Thorin has. And by the gods, the fact that he made it back to us in one piece is naught short of a miracle. A toast, then. To Thorin the dwarven paladin, who braved the trickery of Wonderland, survived the cat's torment, and still managed to make it back in time to fight the real war. May his beard stay strong, his hammer stay true, and may he never eat a strange mushroom again.